Gravity Falls and Journal 3 belong to Alex Hirsch and Disney Channel. Please go support Gravity Falls and go buy Journal 3. Hello everybody, it's Raspberry Barrel here with our final chapter reading of Gravity Falls Journal 3. Well, technically not our last, because after this we're going to be doing the Blacklight edition, but it's going to take me a while to get to that one. But here we are with the finale of your regular old Journal 3 reading. We left off, and Weirdmageddon had just begun. Please forgive me if I stutter, hesitate, or mispronounce anything, and for any noises in the background. Let's begin the final chapter. August 25th. Written by Dipper. Dipper here. I can't believe I'm holding this book in my hands. I saw Bill burn all 3 journals right in front of me, but this morning Seuss found the journals laying in the woods unharmed. Apparently, defeating Bill didn't just de-weird the town, it also restored many of the things he destroyed, including the journals. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. Let me start over. 1. Bill came out of the rip in the sky and took over Gravity Falls. 2. Bill captured Ford and turned him to gold. 3. Bill tried to trap Mabel in a mind prison and blew up Time Baby. I wonder whatever happened to Blundin. I hope he's okay. 4. The town banded together to save Ford and defeat Bill, and it was McGucket who figured out how. True, his solution to every problem is build a giant robot, but this time he was on our side. I don't know if he's gotten saner or crazier after the events of Weirdmageddon, but either way, he's become a bona fide hero, and made the rest of us heroes in the process. No one else would have dreamed up the Shakatron. The robot's fighting style was inspired by Seuss's favorite anime, Neon Crisis Revelations' Angry Cute Girl, Annihilation. He kept requesting giving the robot a gun sword, but we told him that's not a thing. Totem Pole surprisingly good plasma cannon. Gobble Wonker head for nostalgia's sake. Extra power generator by several times running on the treadmill, shirtless as per Mabel's request. We scavenged parts of the portal for the crossed out glowing crotch power core. Foot scavenged from Gideon Bot. Finally, that thing came in handy. Dino arm for Seuss's idea, and I backed him up because it seemed really cool. Dino Bros for life! While Candy and Grenda led the Shakatron into battle, our rescue team parachuted inside the pyramid and unfroze Ford. He told us that we all had a crucial role to play as part of the Zodiac. According to Ford, this was a prophecy found painted in the same cave where he originally summoned Bill. Ford had never believed the legend before. Apparently, he couldn't believe that saving the world involved so much getting along with others, but he thought it was finally worth a try. We seemed to have all the right people. Amazingly, it even included past enemies like Pacifica, Gideon, and Robbie. In retrospect, it's pretty good we ended up getting over our grudges with those 3. Unfortunately, Stan could not get over all his big issues with Ford long enough to join hands, so the whole thing fizzled out and Bill attacked us. We still have no idea what would have happened if we had completed the Zodiac's prophecy. Seuss imagines that the Zodiac would have given us all radness powers. Somehow I doubt that this is what the ancients had in mind. Unlikely. In the end, it turned out to be Grunkle Stan who saved us all, by erasing his own mind, with Bill inside. When Mabel and I found out what had happened, I think both of us were too shocked to believe it, and luckily, Mabel refused to believe it. After tearfully showing Grunkle Stan her scrapbook, she managed to spark bits of Stan's mind back to life, and began recovering his memory bit by bit. It turns out that the memory rays effects can be undone through exposure to important images and people from your past, in the same way that McGucket began his road to recovery when he saw the tape of himself as a young inventor. The reason Stan recovered so much faster is that we began recovery while the eraser was still fresh, less than an hour after initial contact. Still, it's taken about a week of intensive scrapbook therapy to get Stan fully back to himself. While the townsfolk and McGucket helped rebuild the shack, Ford, Mabel, and I have been spending almost every minute with Stan, retelling him his life story, feeding him his favorite foods, toffee, peanuts, and bacon, playing songs from when he was in high school, and driving him through town to revisit every spot he's ever seen, and every person he's ever swindled. We've even read his favorite terrible jokes from his joke book to him, and he remembers every punchline. Ford's been working at it the hardest. Seeing Stan's memory erased is the only time any of us have ever seen Ford cry. There have been several nights we've found that Ford has fallen asleep on the couch next to Stan, exhausted from a marathon of describing their childhood together and from apologizing for his mistakes. Ford even found an old film reel of them as kids, which he amazingly saved all these years. There are clips of them playing on the beach, goofing around at dinner table and pawn shop, and dressing as explorers in oversized helmets trying to find the Jersey Devil. Stan and Ford are downstairs in the living room watching the home movies right now. As much as we want to watch too, we think this is something they should do on their own. They've earned it. August 27th. I'll admit I've been geeking out hardcore the last couple of days over having all 3 journals in my possession. Not only did defeating Bill fix the journals, but it turns out that it also restored pages that have long since been burned or ripped out. There's countless pages in here that I never saw before. Things I would have killed to know earlier in the summer. The journals even smell better, slightly less like millipedes. Part of me wants to keep the journals forever as a birthday gift to myself, but I know I've got to tell Ford about them. They belong to him. I just hope he won't be mad that I've kept them to myself this long. Besides, there's no way I could forget the strange creatures and events we've both written about here. This journal was my guide to someone else's adventure, and now it's time to start my own. I've even started my own journal to take back to California. Do you like the cover? I told Ford that I wouldn't be taking his apprenticeship, and he completely understood. Apparently he's thinking of asking someone else to be his new partner in crime, and I think we both know someone who's great at crime. I'll never forget the most amazing summer of my life, or the family and friends who made it that way, and I'll never forget the book that first opened my eyes to the mysteries of the universe. This is, crossed out M, Dipper Pines, signing off for the final time. Don't be mad, Grunkle Ford. Dipper Pines. My grandnephew's fears are unfounded. All I feel toward him is love and pride. He is a wiser man at, crossed out 12, 13 than I was at 30. He has an incredible future ahead of him, one in which he will hopefully avoid repeating my terrible errors. Looking back at my lifetimes of catastrophic mistakes, I realize one great pattern in all my follies. I thought being a great man meant being alone, apart from the crowd. I bristled at the idea of sharing my accomplishments with anyone. I shunned my brother for one dumb mistake, and I shunned Fiddleford for having the sense to try and stop me from dooming the world. Even when I was given a second chance, I still held others at a distance. If I had been able to widen my circle of trust, if I had believed in the Zodiac's prophecy sooner, we might have gathered everyone together and banished Bill before he was able to strike. I just couldn't get over the idea of myself as the lone hero, and it was Stanley who paid the price. Trust no one. What an absurd and paranoid idea. Trust shouldn't be given unconditionally, but it should be given a chance to be earned. There is strength in having the humility to work with and sacrifice for others, a strength I now realize was in my brother all along. Stanley Pines was the man who saved the world, not me. I spent too much thinking he was a selfish jerk, and he turned out to be the most selfless man I've ever met in any dimension. If I'm totally honest, I must admit that he's a hero, and I'm a hero's brother, and I'm okay with that. Thank goodness he is recovering his wonderfully twisted mind, and I vow to spend the rest of my days making things right between us. If only he gives me a chance. There was someone else I needed to make amends to, my old partner, Fiddleford McGucket. We reunited during Wordmageddon, but it was far too brief, so after things calmed down, I went to visit him. Dipper had warned me about Fiddleford's uneven mental state, but when I saw that he was living at the dump, it became clear how deeply I had hurt this man that I had once held so dear. He was overjoyed to see me, and we spent hours talking. He was fascinated by my tales of the multiverse, and his probing questions made it clear that his excellent mind had recovered most of its enormous capacity. My feelings of guilt returned when the conversation turned to the subject of his self-induced memory loss. but F dismissed my attempts to apologize. Not only is this man's mind superior to mine, but he has one of the biggest hearts I've ever seen. I have found one way to try to make things up to him. During my visit, I discovered a large trove of blueprints. F dismissed them as doodles, but in truth they are an amazing array of futuristic machines, the likes of which I have never seen. I insisted that he submit these plans to the U.S. government. I believe the royalties will allow him to significantly upgrade his living arrangements, and possibly wear shoes for the first time in 30 years. We also talked about our family members, and how his had turned their backs on him when he lost his mind. I encouraged him to reach out to them. No matter how hard it is, everyone deserves a chance at having a family. Amazing that it took me so long to understand this. Before I left, Fiddleford insisted that I listen to him play the banjo. I could have sworn that as he joyfully played, I could see the age lift off his face, and see the Fiddleford who had been my friend so many years ago. I bid him goodbye for then, but I know he will have much to discuss in the future. I also noticed that the Rubik's Cube on his desk was perfectly completed, and for once I decided not to disrupt it. August 29th, Paranormal Hotspots. Gravity Falls is back to normal, or at least as normal as things get in this place, and although unusual phenomenons are concentrated here, they are not confined to this location. There is a whole world out there that needs to be protected, and based on some strange signals I've seen in the Arctic Ocean, I think a new adventure might be right on the horizon. When Stanley and I were kids, we would often read tales of the sibling brothers, about two boys who dedicated their lives to exploring mysteries together. For the record, the butler stole the capers, obviously. With a new anomaly to investigate, I've been thinking about those tales more and more lately. Dipper is no longer my apprentice, and Fiddleford has a genuine career as an inventor ahead of him, so I think it's time for the Pines twins to join forces again. At least I hope so. I haven't discussed my idea with Stan yet, but if I know my brother, he will jump at the chance to find money and babes. The path before us is clear, and it looks like this. Stano War 2. It's a beautiful summer day. Everyone is packing for their respective futures, but I have found my mind drifting to how lovely the cloudless sky looks beneath the August sun. I've spent too long with my head in a book. It's time to look at the world and people around me once more. But what to do with these journals? They've been created, destroyed, lost, found, buried, and burned, and yet somehow, despite everything, they remain here like a curse. I cannot escape. I had suggested to Dipper that because of all the misfortune caused by them, we burn them in the last campfire of the summer. Mabel, Susan, Stan all seemed very excited by this notion. But Dipper had a better idea. We burn all of my Bill Cipher artifacts instead. So we did. My scrolls, carpets, windows, everything I've ever collected with Bill went into the fire. We made s'mores and told stories until sunrise. It was Mabel who ultimately came up with the best solution of what to do with the journals. And so here we are at the bottomless pit, a mystery of Gravity Falls that I still have never fully solved. Based on my investigations, tossing these journals inside could land them just about anywhere. They may end up in the center of the earth, being devoured by a subterranean dinosaur, or in another dimension, or somewhere in the hands of another curious young mind whose adventures has just begun. Perhaps someone who will find secrets in this book that are hidden even from me. And that brings me to you, dear reader. If you are holding this book in your hands, you hold something more than a record of the curious happenings of a town called Gravity Falls. You hold a record of one man's folly and the kindness of a family that saved him from himself. It's never too late to learn that growing old doesn't have to mean growing up. Stay curious, stay weird, stay kind, and don't let anyone ever tell you you aren't smart or brave or worthy enough. If you have come on these adventures with us, then you are an honorary member of the Pines family, and your adventure starts today. And if anyone ever gets in your way, well, we have an entire section on curses. Have at it. For the last time, unless we meet in some distant world, this is Stanford Pines, signing off. Item number 618. Book found in the forest in Oregon. Unknown origin. For sale. Might be of interest. Oregon Parks Department, 2016. And that is the end of the book. But before we say goodbye, we're going to look now at these spine. I don't remember what this part of the book is called. It's the cover thing. When you open it up, it's a bunch of blueprints by McGucket. So we've got the Gideon bot. It's got a special containment with his prize banjo collection. With the memory gun, it's got a pop cat dial and 2 AA's. And this says, from the desk of Fiddleford H. McGucket. There we've got the portal, we've got the laptop, emergency washboard, easy wash, and we've got the Sea Monster 1.0, air-filled jugs, flotation, and mattress springs. And then the rest of this cover is just stuff from Alex Hirsch himself, which if you guys would like me to go into, you can tell me and I can go into it when we get to the blacklight edition of the book. But as it is, well, we've done it. We finally finished reading Journal 3, A Gravity Falls Adventure. And what a wonderful ending this had. Thank you all so much for being here this whole journey. Being here this whole time reading the Gravity Falls Journal 3s. I know it's taken me quite a long time, and it's been so fun getting to read the journal with all of you and think back and reflect on the episodes, the in-betweens, the strangeness. But don't worry, the weirdness is not over yet, because we still have to read the Blacklight edition of Gravity Falls, a special edition book. A special edition of the book that not only has blacklights, but also has little flippy pictures and just extra little tidbits that you can't find anywhere else, that you don't have access to in this version of the journal. So I hope you guys are excited for that. It might take me a while to actually get to that video. I'm gonna be on a little bit of a break from the Gravity Falls journal, I think, but I'm super excited for that. So just thank you guys so much for being here. I can't believe we've done it. We're done with Gravity Falls. So for the last time, signing off. Well, not the last time, I guess. But for the final time of this version of the journal, Gravity Falls and Journal 3 belong to Alex Hirsch and Disney Channel. Please go support Gravity Falls and go buy Journal 3. Goodbye, everyone. See you all in the next video. Bye-bye.